my name's Abby. Hopefully you watched my last video where I was talking about my symptoms with Hodgkin's lymphoma and my diagnosis. I just want to apologise if you watched it on your laptop. The volume might have been a bit low for you. I'm still waiting for my microphone to arrive, so hopefully you can hear me now if you're watching on your laptop or on your phone. So today I wanted to talk about chemotherapy, what it was like and how it made me feel. So I had ABVD and that was for 6 months and it was every 2 weeks. And then on at the start of the third round, they cut it down to AVD because I went into remission, thankfully. So I remember the first time I had it, I was so scared, like I just didn't know what to expect. They gave me all these tablets, I guess it was like anti-sickness to take, and then the nurse was looking for a vein. I didn't have time for a PICC line, I really wanted a PICC line. I went to the hospital on the Thursday and they told me you start chemo tomorrow at 9 a.m. so there was no time for a PICC line. Plus I was still like swollen, my skin had swelled up from the cancer, so they couldn't really draw a PICC line anyway from my arm along here to my heart, so I had to have it in my veins. And I was not looking forward to that because I was just so tired of having blood tests, and it was so hard for them anyway to draw blood because they would normally take from here or here and my veins were just hidden. They didn't want to come out to play. So on the day now, they were looking for a vein, they couldn't find any. So they looked at my arm, couldn't find any veins, so I had to dip my hand in hot water and that made my veins pop out. And she put a cannula in my arm, and then the nurse used like this flush, I guess it's called soda line, I'm not even sure what it's called actually, but she used this solution and it was just horrible. It was like I could taste this metallic taste. I just didn't like it at all, and that's what she used. And then I took some more tablets. I was still feeling nervous because obviously I just didn't know what to expect, but chemotherapy was essentially, for me, I know everyone's experience is different, it was just like liquid going into my body, like poisonous liquid going into my body. And one of the chemicals, I'm not sure which one it was, it did burn my veins. Like I could feel it, it was warm. When I say burn, it felt like really warm. So what the nurse did, which was really nice of her, she used this like you know when you have a blood pressure test, there's that material that they use. I'm so sorry, I'm really not good at knowing the names of these medical equipment things. Anyway, she used something like that, like it was like this sleeve, and she put my arm in and she wrapped up that sleeve with a blanket, and that made my arm feel a lot more cooler and at ease. So yeah, chemotherapy was just essentially liquid running through my veins, and I don't know why, but I assumed that straight away I would just feel it, but I didn't. So I would say the first time I wasn't really affected. I went home and I was just really like spaced out. Like I don't smoke weed or do any drugs or anything like that, so but I was just like, I mean, I'm a relaxed person anyway, but with the chemo when I was at home, I just felt really like spaced out, which was not what I was expecting at all. I remember my mum, she would ask me a question and I would respond like 6 minutes later, like I would just like pause, like I was just like on another planet. So that was the first time I just felt tired. And I would say that was pretty much it for me when I was having treatment. I literally just felt tired all the time. I'd like have 5 days where I was just in bed, just tired. All I wanted to do was sleep. But when I was in the hospital, when I was having my treatment, probably round about the second round, I started to vomit. Like, I was just sick whilst having my treatment. But I don't think it was the chemotherapy. I think it was just me, because then I had my PICC line, and maybe I'll do another video about the PICC line because that was a whole nother experience. But I hated having my PICC line flushed, but they had to do it to like make sure it's not infected when they run the chemo. So they used to use that that solution that I hated, the metallic taste. But then later I found out that they had it without that taste, so they had like a clearer solution. But it was too late. Like, I was psychologically, I just didn't want to be touched. I didn't want the chemo. I didn't want the soda, like whatever it's called. I didn't want that in my body. So I was just a mess. Like, I could honestly say that I spent the last 5 months just puking in the hospital, like constantly just being sick, because I hated it. And in my mind I thought, well, if I'm sick, they're gonna stop the treatment. But no, they continued. And it got so bad to the point where I remember when I was having my scan, and just the thought of going to the hospital made me want to vomit. At home I was fine. Like, after treatment and the days when I was at home, I was completely fine. I wasn't sick. It was just when I was out in the hospital. And even when I took anti-sickness tablets, it didn't work, because I would just vomit anyway, and I couldn't eat anything. I didn't even want to drink, because I was just like I didn't want to drink, because of like, when you're having chemo, they flush you out, so it's just like a lot of liquid. I just didn't want to have any fluids in my body because of the treatment. And yeah, that's how it just made me, if I'm being honest, for me, chemotherapy was just like vomit. The chemo itself didn't really affect me as such, apart from just feeling tired. I remember when I was going for a scan, I was at Tesco's. My dad was with me, and he got me a bottle of water, because I would still try and drink, even though I didn't want to. I would still drink anyway. And I was waiting outside for him, and just the thought of knowing, so it wasn't even a chemo day, it was the day of my scan. Just the thought of knowing that I was going to have my PICC line flushed made me vomit. So I went outside and I just puked. So I remember going to the pharmacy in the hospital, like, you know, it's getting to the point now where I'm starting to throw up outside, and no one's even touched me. So I don't know if it was a placebo tablet or what, but she gave me like this blue pill, like tablet, that I put under my tongue at night and first thing in the morning. And I just got the sense of calmness. I don't know if that was just my mind or if that's what it's actually supposed to do, but that's what she told me it would do anyway. It will calm you down. So yeah, it did. It kept me calm, got me to the hospital without throwing up. And then when it was time to prep me for my I would take my anti-sickness tablets, and then just knowing that I'm going to have my PICC line flushed, it just made me vomit. So that's what it was for me. What did help, however, on right about the going up to my 4th cycle, I was told that I can have massages. So that was nice. I didn't get a massage every time because sometimes they were booked. It was like volunteers. So before I started my treatment, I would go in the mornings to have a massage. That was really nice. It helped calm me down and relax me. But I would say by the time they put like the second chemical, I would vomit. So it was just a habit now. I would also listen to Indian flute music because I wanted like a distraction. I would be in the chair and I just couldn't relax, and I would look around and people would be sleeping and I would just be on edge. So I decided to listen to like Indian flute music as a way of to like just stop me thinking about the chemo and focus on the music, because Indian flute music's not something that I listen to like generally. So it was kind of nice to have something that I'm not familiar with to like distract me. So that helped. Still able to eat, not at the hospital, but when I went home I would eat like just like a small plate of anything really. I would have my treatment on Fridays, so normally on Fridays we would have like fish and chips, so that's what I had, like just a small plate of that. So yeah, I was still able to eat, luckily. What else? I randomly had clear skin, believe it or not. My skin had never been so clear before, so that was nice. Probably one of the only good things about the treatment. I don't know what that was about, but I had really nice clear skin. I was glowing, which was weird. I was also very tired all the time, as I said before, and just having like hot flushes. They gave me these 2 injections that they would put in my ovaries. I guess it was to, they couldn't, well, there wasn't enough time to freeze my eggs, so they gave me like this injection, and I assumed it was like a bubble around my ovaries that would protect it from the chemo, but it kind of like put me into a menopausal state. So like all of a sudden, probably like the first 2 rounds of chemo, my periods were like, for the first 2 months my periods were coming like regularly, but they were really heavy. So I guess it was just like closing down my ovaries, and then about 4 months after I stopped treatment, my periods reappeared, so now they're back to normal and being regular again. So yeah, whilst on treatment I was experiencing like hot flushes. I don't know if this was due to the chemo or if it was due to the injections that they gave me for my ovaries, but that was horrible, just randomly just being hot all of a sudden. And then yeah, so that was it really. Like, yeah, chemo, it's one of those things where everyone reacts differently to it, and there are so many different types of chemo. Some are more harsher than others, but for me, ABVD, it didn't really affect me like I thought it would. I was also, my mum, she put me on like a strict diet. I wasn't vegan, but I ate healthy, like, and I think that helped a lot. And the fact that I was able as well to still eat, that's good as well. So I was weak, but it's not like I was completely knocked off my feet. I just allowed myself 5 days in bed, and then I had another 5 good days. But yeah, that was my experience with chemo. I will do another video on like tips, because I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll do another video on tips on what you can do, what I did that helped me, that made chemotherapy easier for me. So see you in my next video. Bye. Thanks for watching, and if you like, feel free to share and subscribe. Thank you.